The air hung heavy with unspoken words. Arjun stepped off the bus, his city shoes kicking up dust on the road leading to Maayavaram. The village seemed to crouch in the midday sun, a brooding silhouette against the parched landscape. Home. He'd once longed to escape its stifling embrace. Now, after 10 years, he was back. A journalist with a nose for truth, he scoffed at the whispers of curses and ghosts that clung to Maayavaram like cobwebs. This visit was about family, about the insistent summons from his grandfather. The houses were huddled closer than he remembered, their thatched roofs sagging under years of neglect and despair. A shiver ran down Arjun's spine. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the rustle of dry leaves. Even the sunlight seemed hesitant to penetrate the oppressive atmosphere. As he neared his grandfather's house, a figure emerged from the shadows. Old Amma, her face a roadmap of wrinkles, greeted him with a toothless grin.
You've returned. The village has been waiting.
Her words were a statement, not a greeting. Waiting. For what? Arjun brushed off her words and entered his grandfather's house. The familiar scent of incense and sandalwood couldn't mask the air of melancholy that permeated the house. His grandfather sat by the window, his gaze fixed on the distant hills. His frail hand trembled as Arjun touched him gently. "Grandpa," Arjun began, his voice thick with emotion. The old man turned, his eyes cloudy with age, focusing on Arjun's face. He spoke, his voice a low whisper.
The curse, it's real, Arjun. You need to leave.
The village elders gathered under the ancient banyan tree, their faces etched with worry. Arjun sat among them, privy to their hushed whispers. A young girl, Rani, was dead. Found by the riverbank, her eyes staring vacantly at the unforgiving sky. An accident, the police had declared. But the village knew better. Arjun listened, his skepticism battling with the growing unease in his gut. They spoke of a malevolent entity, a vengeful spirit guarding a hidden truth. A curse, they called it, cast generations ago, claiming the village's children one by one.
It's nonsense.
Arjun finally interjected, his voice sharp in the stillness. The elders turned to him, their eyes filled with a strange mixture of pity and fear.
You cannot fight fate, Arjun. It's in your blood, too.
His words hung in the air. In Arjun's blood? What did it all mean? A sudden commotion broke the tension. A woman, her eyes wild with grief, burst into the circle. It was Rani's mother. She flung herself at Arjun's feet, clutching at his legs.
You have to help her. You're our only hope.
Help her? How could he help a dead girl? Arjun felt a surge of helplessness. He was a journalist, not a miracle worker. Yet he couldn't shake off the woman's desperation, the raw grief that mirrored the collective fear of the village. He looked around at the faces of the villagers, their hope, their fear. It was all so real. Could he truly dismiss their beliefs as mere superstition? As the sun began its descent, casting long, eerie shadows across the village, Arjun made a decision. He would investigate Rani's death. Not because he believed in curses, but because he had to know the truth, even if it meant confronting his own skepticism. The air was thick with the scent of herbs and incense as Arjun stepped into Maya's house. Childhood memories flickered, hide and seek amongst the mango trees, shared secrets whispered under the starlit sky. Maya, the village healer, the girl with eyes that held ancient wisdom. She hadn't changed much. Her long dark hair framed a face that seemed to radiate an inner light, her touch both gentle and firm as she examined a young boy's wound. Their eyes met across the room. A flicker of recognition, of shared history, passed between them.
Arjun, you've come back.
He nodded, his throat suddenly tight. They spent hours talking, catching up on lost time, yet a silence hung between them, unspoken words lingering in the air. He told her about Rani, about the villagers' fears and his own skepticism. Maya listened patiently, her gaze steady.
There are things in this world, Arjun, things that cannot be explained by logic or reason.
She spoke of energies, of spirits that roamed the earth, unseen forces that could heal and harm. Arjun wanted to dismiss her words, to cling to his skepticism. But something in her voice, in the depth of her conviction, gave him pause.
You believe in the curse?
He asked, his voice barely a whisper. Maya looked at him, her eyes filled with a deep sadness.
It's not about belief, Arjun. It's about understanding. The village, it's shrouded in pain, in a grief that echoes through generations. Rani, she wasn't the first, and she won't be the last.
Days turned into nights. Sleep evaded Arjun, haunted by whispers of the curse and tormented by the villagers' pleas. He pored over old records, dusty scrolls, and faded photographs, searching for a logical explanation, a thread that could unravel the mystery of Maayavaram. He learned about the village's history, about a prosperous past that ended with a series of unexplained tragedies. Crop failures, strange illnesses, and a string of accidental deaths that had decimated the population. He read about a hidden temple, deep within the forest, dedicated to a forgotten deity. A deity that demanded respect, that punished those who dared to defy its power. One evening, as the sky turned a fiery orange, Arjun found himself drawn to his grandfather's room. The old man was asleep, his chest rising and falling rhythmically. On his bedside table lay a worn, leather-bound journal. Arjun's fingers trembled as he reached for it. It was his grandmother's diary, filled with her delicate handwriting. He flicked through the pages, his eyes scanning the entries, and then he stopped. His heart pounded in his chest as he read his grandmother's words, penned just days before her untimely death. "The curse is real," she had written, her words filled with a chilling certainty. "It whispers through the wind, watches from the shadows, waits for the opportune moment to claim its due." His grandmother had never believed in superstitions. She was a woman of science, of logic and reason. Yet here she was, writing about a curse, about a darkness that threatened to consume them all. Arjun shut the diary, his mind reeling. He had to know more. He had to find this temple, to see for himself if the stories were true. As he made his way out of the house, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was Maya, her eyes filled with a mixture of apprehension and determination.
I'm coming with you.
The air grew heavy, the silence broken only by the sound of their footsteps crunching on dry leaves. Deeper and deeper they ventured into the heart of the forest, following a barely discernible path. The sunlight struggled to penetrate the dense canopy, casting eerie shadows that danced and swayed around them. Arjun could feel the hair on the back of his neck stand on end, a primal fear gripping his insides. He glanced at Maya, her face etched with a serene calm that belied the danger of their mission. She moved with an uncanny familiarity, as if guided by an unseen force. Finally, they emerged into a clearing, and there it stood, half hidden by creepers and vines, the ancient temple. It was more imposing than Arjun had imagined, its once ornate carvings now worn and weathered by the ravages of time. An air of oppressive stillness hung over the place, a silence so profound that it felt like a living presence. As they approached the temple, a sense of uneasiness washed over Arjun. He could feel his skepticism crumbling, replaced by a growing sense of dread. He reached out to touch one of the weathered stone carvings, his fingers tracing the intricate details. The air grew cold, and Arjun felt a sharp, stinging sensation in his fingertips. He withdrew his hand quickly, his heart pounding in his chest. He looked down at his hand, expecting to see a cut, a burn, anything. but there was nothing. He looked back at the carving, his eyes drawn to a particular symbol. It was a serpent, its fangs bared, its body coiled in a threatening posture. Arjun felt a cold shiver run down his spine. He knew with a certainty that defied logic that this symbol, this serpent, held the key to the mystery of Maayavaram.